So he goes to his wrestling, and now look at this. Right here.
Hi, I'm praying that the world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive. We're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system.
Welcome to the Red Pill Sports and Entertainment Show. I am your host, Albert Apache, and as usual, brought to you by Open Source Self-Defense Fitness and Grappling. Okay guys, thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be taking a look at Saeed Nurmagomedov and his victory at UFC 270. I believe this was the Ngannou title defense. So Saeed is a bantamweight. As far as I know, he is not directly related to Khabib, but they are both from Dagestan. Saeed, as we're going to see, fights a very different style than Khabib. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this matchup. So first and foremost, let me say that it is makes me super happy to see Frank Trigg, a former MMA fighter, being a ref. I hope more fighters do this as they decide to retire and also go into judging. I think that there is a lack of understanding from both refs and judges. So this was a pretty quick fight, so let's just go ahead and take a look at it up until the interesting parts that I want to cover. But as you can see, Saeed is a different type of fighter than Khabib. He is a very flashy striker here. Much more fluid of a striker as well. And eventually, there he is. He's going to shoot in, and that's pretty much the beginning of the end. We're going to get a takedown from Saeed here. There it is, that front trip with the overhook. Right into the guillotine and the submission. Now let's go back and let's take a look at this. So the whole reason that Saeed gets the opportunity for this submission is because he is landing on the feet. Lands here and here pretty clean. The power is something that I think Stamann just was not ready for. And even though Nurmagomedov is a bit off balance here, you'll see him step. Stamann just was not ready for it. He was in a complete defensive shell. Here he comes in kind of wild. And now off of his spinning elbow, he shoots in and grabs a hold of Saeed. Goes to the single leg. Saeed with amazing balance. And he gets his back to the cage. Now let's talk about why Saeed was able to reverse this and get the takedown. It's basically because Stamann got a little bit lazy here. So you're going to see here he bases and he goes to step around the leg of Saeed. Here, steps around that leg. Now immediately he should have been fighting to pull that leg away and starting to maybe go for an inside trip as well, or sit Saeed to his back, kind of dragging him along the fence and to Stamann's left. But instead, he kind of gets lazy. He doesn't move. So Saeed takes the initiative, lifts up that leg, and gets that front trip. Now, let's see what leads to the guillotine. Stamann places his hand on the mat, and you can see Saeed's right behind it there. Blue glove. And now if you watch right here between Nurmagomedov's legs, you're going to see his glove flash. That's where he's rotating it under the chin. And as Stamann tries to recover, he tries to recover to a double leg, but he makes one of the key mistakes that you can make when you bring your wrestling into jiu-jitsu, and that's that he puts his head on the outside. There, the guillotine is deep. Now, we're going to see Stamann is going to try to escape here. This is actually an escape attempt, as he's going to feel that the guillotine is deep. He's going to try and roll to his right shoulder, kind of over his right shoulder, and do a flop escape. that I think probably Conor has used it the most successful in the UFC and kind of popularized it. That being said, he's gotten caught trying to do it as well. So let's take a look at Conor using this flop technique first at regular speed, and then we'll come back and kind of break it down. There it is. So let's come back. So here's the similar position that Saeed got Stamann in. It's kind of got the guillotine in place. He sits back, his hips beat Conor to the mat, but he misses the leg here. See how Chad Mendez's leg is coming up to go onto Conor's back, but he misses it. And Conor's able to flop to his right shoulder, get his back to the mat, and kind of gator roll over to the top, scramble, and they are back to their feet. So coming back to Saeed's guillotine, you're going to see this same thing happen here. Saeed has the guillotine. His hips beat Stamann to the mat, but Stamann does not roll, or I should say Nurmagomedov is ready for the roll. You'll see he wraps both legs around that far leg as Stamann tries to roll to his back. This allows him to easily follow and come up on the same side so that he can continue his choke. Very deep. And that's the end of the fight. Let's see if we got a different angle really quick. So here's a different angle. It's from the opposite side. And so we're going to see Saeed, there we go, with the takedown. Again, you see how he posts his hand for just a split second here, right next to Stamann's. You'll kind of see it flash if you watch. Boom, it's flashing up. Look how deep Stamann's head is on the outside of Nurmagomedov. That was a major problem. He thinks he's going to get a double leg here. And this is a big problem when wrestlers want to integrate their wrestling into jiu-jitsu and they have a habit of putting their head on the outside. This happens often. Okay, when you're training and you're trying to integrate your wrestling into your jiu-jitsu, you have to be aware that submissions are still there. The guy can win from his back. I know that's a little bit weird for wrestlers when they first come into jiu-jitsu, but you know, it's more than just control, guys. Here it is. You'll see the hips beat Stamann to the mat. There it is. Roll. You see he tries to roll to his back here. But Nurmagomedov, because he held onto that leg, just barely held on with his feet, helps him get the leverage to roll over and stay on that same side and get the tap. So amazing fight. Amazing guillotine. I think the thing that we can really take away from this particular fight, guys, is that when you integrate your wrestling into your jiu-jitsu, you have to be very aware of where you're placing your head. And later on, as you get deeper into jiu-jitsu, you also have to be aware of where you're placing your feet. I trained with a few wrestlers, people who wrestled in high school, things of that nature, and inevitably, through their white belt journey, they generally get choked via guillotine or sometimes bulldog chokes. They get leg locked when they decide to go no-gi. And essentially, it's because it's just something that they're not aware of. So when you're training your wrestling and you want to integrate that into your jiu-jitsu, I think it's super important to do that and to do it under fire. I'm not saying Stamann doesn't do that. And of course, it's easy to critique when you're not in the fire, so to speak. But I think that was probably the key issue. Nurmagomedov's striking here looked really well. It looked very strong. And it's really what made Stamann have to shoot in to try to get the fight to the ground. Unfortunately for him, Saeed was much better on the ground than I think he anticipated Saeed to be. Okay, guys, that's what I got for the breakdown today. Thank you very much for listening, for tuning in. Remember, please like, subscribe, comment down below. I try to interact with every comment. The liking, the subscribing, the sharing of the content really does help. Remember, the goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by 4th of July. So any help I could get from you guys with that would truly be appreciated. And as always, guys, remember, be practical, be purposeful, get fit with a purpose, guys.
What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive. We're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight. It's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird. People are so stupid. Why are y'all so stupid?